Yeah. I know it just looks like I walked out of a VFW, but my name's Todd Regan, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself, but I wanted to start off with some trivia I think most know. This picture, I should think it's the monument actually, but does everyone remember or know who's the first flight? Who's credited being first flight?
Credited. Orwell and Wilbur.
Okay. What year?
03.
What month? December. What day? So close. You're going to see why in a minute why I know this so well. December 17th, 1903. The reason why I bring that up is because does anyone know who's credited with also taking the first picture of that flight and supportive of this mission or their adventure?
I forget the name.
It's the Coast Guard. Coast Guard was the one taking the first, took the first picture. So, forever memorializing the rifle of the Wright brothers. So, my name is Todd Regan. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I spent 20 years in the Coast Guard as a tinkerer, pretty much most of my life, taking things apart and putting things back together. Someone told me you need to join the Coast Guard. So, and I always wanted to be in aviation, and I always wanted to work on helicopters. So I'm lucky enough. That's exactly what I got to do. I joined in 2000. I was on a cutter out in Hawaii for a couple of years. It was a really rough time out there. And then, but I did my time on sea, and then I was able to get into an airman program, and then started off with C-130s, 4 Fans of Freedom. I saw a picture up there earlier. Let me tell you, that aircraft has taken me out of places that I'm thankful for. So, and then after I went to A school in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, which is really close to Kill Devil Hills, Kitty Hawk, where that famous picture was taken. And that's where it was kind of drilled into me about the Rifle Brothers. After A school, I went to Clearwater, Florida. I was stationed there for 7 years, and that's where I worked on MH-60J and T helicopters, Big Iron. You've probably seen them around here every once in a while. I know they go to Brooksville a lot more often when I used to do touch and goes there and things like that, or rough area landings. And then after Clearwater, I went to San Diego, California. I was stationed out there for 4 years. Another rough place to live. And then after that, someone said, hey, you haven't been stationed anything above I-10. So they sent me to Sitka, Alaska. Complete opposite what I was used to.
Good place. It's a good place.
Yeah.
I loved Sitka very much, but let me tell you, when I had to bring that news home to my wife and new kid and family, I made sure I brought home an offering, some really nice sandwiches, did the laundry. Yeah. So, so yeah, we went to Sitka, Alaska, and we made the best of it. And for 4 years I was there, and then I finished up my last 2 in Mobile, Alabama as well. And I did all sorts of odds and ends there, whether it was working on aircraft, and as I started gaining rank, became more of like project management type of stuff besides managing people and training and all sorts of things. My specialty with the 60 was heavy maintenance. I knew how to take apart that bird and put it back together. I could do it today, no problem. So I love it, miss it. My body would say differently though. That's for sure. After the Coast Guard, I became an instructor at Fort Myers Technical College for their turbine generator program. It's the only one in Florida, and it might actually be the only one on the East Coast, not private, but public. It was a great opportunity. I didn't expect to see it, or this to come into my life, but I did. I had a good time. It was a really rough time there. Really not any curriculum. You had to kind of develop all this stuff on your own. But anyway, I was teaching students to work into the power industry, going to power plants and working on their steam or gas turbines. After that, my wife and I, we decided, you know what, this place isn't for us. Let's move back. And my wife is from Spring Hill, so that's where we live. And I saw this job open up, and amongst the other things I was doing, and I applied, and here I am. So with the county, I started May 15th of last year, and I manage both airports. Mainly their projects and what's going on, which I'm more than happy to talk about any of those for each airport. And hopefully we can get more than just me for the aviation division, because that's all there is this county has right now. So I'm hoping that we can get another position and keep growing to make this county better, especially for flight. Before I kind of get into anything, does anyone have any questions or about me? Yep.
Well, I wanted to secure my airplane, which is an Icon A5, and the link's full.
Okay.
And he opened his arms and he says, come out here, and he gave me a place to secure it. It's in a trailer, brand new shiny trailer.
Mhm.
This is after I went to Crystal River. Tom Davis was there. I know him when he was a live person. He would have also welcomed me, but the manager over there says, I don't want your trailer out here. I don't think the county should be able to have two different policies. I don't understand it either.
Maybe I'm not following. It's about a trailer? Like you're trying to tie down a trailer?
He keeps stores his aircraft in his trailer.
Gotcha,
His trailer
okay.
he keeps on the ramp.
Okay.
So it's like a portable hangar,
Gotcha.
which makes perfect
Interesting.
sense.
Okay.
We have two individuals that do that. One is an ultralight and then he keeps his airplanes in maintenance right now. But
Okay, so who told you not to do that? Well,
Crystal River FPO has different policies
James,
than we do.
manager.
James Chen? Okay, I guess I'll need to find out some more information about this. This is the first time I'm hearing of it.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Sure, yeah. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here, you have voiced concerns. I know there's some people here that I've met before. If you have a concern about this community, this county, let me know. I'm the first person to talk to. I am very busy, but I'm not trying to give that as an excuse. You just might have to be a really squeaky wheel. But I'll try to address that the best I can, and we'll talk, and hopefully we can find a solution, compromise of some sorts, well, within reason. But does anybody have anything for me before I go into all the boring stuff? No? Okay. I guess we'll start with Inverness Airport. We have a few projects here underway. If you can't already tell, we have a business park that's being developed. I'll be honest with you, when it comes to construction, I don't really have a lot of experience on that, but that's why I know people who do, who can take care of that for me. So that business park is a 75-acre business park. Oh, by the way, I know I like to bunny trail a lot. Next time I come here, I'll try to bring more materials with me. Pictures, aerial views, things like that, try to send a message home. Business park is a 75-acre business park. Right now, only 45 acres are being developed. That's phase one. And that has also been, it's almost done. There's a few issues that we're trying to run across and take care of, one of them being our drainage retention area. As soon as we can get that figured out and permitted correctly, we should be able to move on with this park. The park is the Florida Commerce Grant, yep.
Yeah, so how much of that concrete sold?
None, nothing's been plotted either. It's, where we want, the idea is to get this park developed. Well, phase two is the other 30 acres of the park. The idea is to get this park developed and give as much land to an industrial business. We want someone here to make a widget, so preferably in aviation. There will be an aviation side, there'll be a non-aviation side, but if everyone can be in aviation, to me, that's the best. The idea is to get these industries in here, to get people for this county good paying jobs. And that's what I want. I don't want Amazon to come in here and yeah, you might have a lot of jobs, but everyone knows that the turnover rate's pretty bad. I don't want a Home Depot. No offense to any of these companies, it just doesn't make sense to put them over here. So that, I think, that's my idea, and I think that aligns with the county as well, hopefully with the people.
Is that air park, going to have taxiway access at some point?
100%.
When does that fold in?
Well, that's a good question. As soon as we can get into phase two, I just got a grant back from Florida Commerce. It's a $9 million grant through a state appropriation through Florida Commerce. But we're still working out some bugs, some of the language. We want to make sure that the lessons that we learned from phase one don't go into phase two. So I'm working that out, it's been a while, it's back and forth, bureaucracy, I guess. Once we get that, we get a consultant on board to manage the project and also getting a construction bid out as well. It's gonna be a couple of years, for sure. I think I don't have my information in front of me, but it could be 2026, something like that. And my projects have like a sliding scale to it. And there's always a hiccup with construction and projects, so just bear with me. But yeah, there will be a taxiway, I think it's about 3,200 feet, and it's gonna connect from, well, the taxi lane that goes down into the airport, to the hangars. Right now, the design is to continue that right into the business park. We'll see if that design still holds, but those are the plans we have right now. So back to phase one in the land. Yeah, the idea is to get aviation companies in here, bring some industry, support this county, and if we do, if this business park gets the attention that it needs, this county's gonna get on the map quickly. So, but that's the idea with the land, is to give them the most opportunity.
So you're just getting it surface ready?
Yep.
And then they'll go,
Shovel ready.
this is what we wanna put up.
Yes, absolutely. That's my understanding. Yes, sir.
Both our airports are deficient with hangars. Seems like that would help develop these airfields. Why aren't we looking at more hangars?
We are. We definitely want to get more hangars, for sure. It's a part of a CIP, and it just takes a lot of money. If you guys already know, a row of T hangars, just like that one right there, is gonna cost over $2 million. That's just in construction. So most of my projects with the county are grant funded. I would say maybe over 80% of it. So there's a match to that, whether it's an FDOT grant, which is a 50-50 grant. So the county has to come up with that money, or at least 50% of it. And there's other grants too that aren't as much. FAA's got some good ones. They can be, it's called a 98 and 2. So 90% FAA, 8% FDOT, and 2% local. So, which has been helpful. I got a few of those. Is any of this making sense to everyone, or kind of? But I hear you. Yeah, more hangars. It is definitely definitely part of the plan. Yes, sir.
Maybe you're gonna address it, but I know that you're expecting to receive this commercial business impact of the airport thing. What's the status on that, and what's gonna be the outcome, you think?
Oh, that's a broad question.
Yeah.
Well, you're saying what's the outcome of this business
Well,
model?
there is a master plan for the airport.
There is.
Right, but this is supposed to be looking at how can you optimize airport property, what's the plan going forward? I guess I haven't attended any of the meetings recently, so I'm not sure where that whole project's at with that plan.
Okay. Thanks, Andy. A great question. It sounds like you're leading towards the financial study that's been going on. Okay.
It's late.
Yeah, and that's that'll be presented to the board here in March 12th. I don't know the time. I think it's about 1 o'clock, something like that, but it'll be announced accordingly. And the gentleman doing that, his name is Dr. Byers. We've hired him through our consultant to conduct this study, and he looks at both airports surrounding, as there's a lot of information this gentleman looks into, way above my head, but basically it's looking at your airports, what's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, and here's a path moving forward on what you could do to elevate and bring up your airports. I know that's kind of broad as well. Is that answering your question, or you want a little more?
Yeah, I guess, kind of. Andy, go ahead.
If you don't mind me speaking, the recommendations that his company made are that the rates across both airports increase, and that our lease gets negotiated 3 times within 10 years. I don't see that as sustainable. And as I brought up with several of the members here, other neighboring airports such as Leesburg and Ocala charge ramp fees for single engine pistons when they stop here because their rates of rent are quite a bit higher than ours. And I think the county needs to make a choice as to whether, we support the general aviation community or if the county sees this as a golden goose to collect funds from. And so I think the county's at a pivot point, but the recommendations were that, 3 lease negotiations within 10 years for the FBO and increasing the rates across the board. All of which I'm against, and welcome every member here to voice your opinions to the BOCC. Because it's gonna be to the point where we're all priced out of aviation in this county.
So you're saying the lease, they're gonna increase the lease on the hangars, is that what you're talking about?
So both FBOs, Crystal River FBO and us, have leases from the county. When we were sold here on the lease, we moved our operation, so we managed a different airport. We were sold on the idea that we had a 20-year lease here. It turns out that that is not the case, and the county intends to renegotiate the lease every 5 years, which gives us inconsistencies in business.
Yep.
And the lease negotiations, by the way, are only in favor of the county, never towards the tenants. And so the recommendations of the consultant were to get the prices up towards like the Naples area, like someone was talking about Naples Airport earlier, to get the prices up to the general levels in the state. But we're Citrus County, and one of the things that Bright Rudder is focused on is being the low-cost leader in aviation because, but still providing quality services, because aviation is unreachable, unattainable for the vast majority of individuals. And if we raise our rates, we're saying that this is a rich person's playground, not, a general aviation enterprise, which is what
That's my
Experimental Aircraft Association is all about.
This is a smaller community and, it's not a high income area. And, if you have the rates meeting high income areas, it's going to hurt future of aviation in this area.
Well, it's the last thing I want, and I will say with this financial study, there's gonna be some compromises. It's just this stuff, these decisions are above me.
Yeah.
So, but it's the stuff that we look at closely. Who here rents a hangar? Okay.
So
Well,
those
whether
fees are
from the county.
Yeah.
So it's gonna go up?
Okay.
Are they talking about those going up since we're
Let-
kind of
let-
high start
hold
out?
on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you.
Yeah,
Um,
ask me.
I want to ask you because I'm gonna put you on the line. You came to me and I could see that you were very aggravated with how things were working, your leases and things like that. What happened?
You changed, you got my doors as far as, we were responsible fixing the doors, and you got it so that, the county takes ownership of that now?
Yep.
You were looking at one thing that I'm waiting to see what happened is the electric.
Yep. Trust me, it's on our radar as well.
Well, if you don't know, is that we pay $15 for the meter just being there. And then we pay a flat fee of $30 more.
Yep.
So it's $40.
No electricity.
And electricity that most of these hangars use, I didn't have a bill over $3.
I know what you mean. Use a couple kilovolts
I'm paying
a
about
week.
$50 a month for electricity that, to run up that hangar
So
door.
I had proposed before was that they put jumpers in, all they have to do is put jumpers in the meters, and the county put one big meter, take over ownership. We'll pay the $15 to y'all for the first year, and if it comes out more, you raise the rent to compensate for the electricity that we all use.
Okay.
But, I hadn't gone anywhere for at least, 6 or 8 months.
It hasn't,
No.
but that you know.
That I know.
So I'm close talks with my supervisor, and we're trying to figure out a way, because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out ways to how this can make sense, and well, the big thing is something reasonable and some type of compromise. Reasonable to me is my number one thing. What's reasonable? But you mentioned, or the hangar doors. Yep, got that taken care of. That is to me a structural part. If the door doesn't open, then it becomes a wall, so.
It comes with warehouse.
And then there's
Yeah.
issues with that as well. Something else that wasn't talked about was the CPI index.
Oh, yeah.
What is that? Hold on. What's that now?
You didn't raise it this time.
Yeah.
0%.
Yeah, this time, you didn't.
That was,
For you don't know.
that was before me, I mean, this.
Yeah, they raised our cost of, living index, price
Yeah.
index to 9 point something% last year. And we're in Citrus County, and I tried to find out where they got that from. And they wouldn't tell me until late, that they got it from using Tampa and St. Pete, Metropolis versus Citrus County.
Very different.
So when I heard this, I looked into it, and yeah, you're right, there was, I think it was 9.2, one before that was 8.1,
Yeah.
one before that was like 3 point something. I remember it being 20% in 3 years.
Yeah,
So I looked at that and I brought it up and I'm like, hey, something doesn't seem right, what's going on? And so here we are, I think this was the smart decision, to be 0%, let's see what happens, see where everything goes. One of the things the financial study is doing is instead of coming up with a CPI or increase, and you're finding out in December, and your bill's due in January, and for some people, you need to financially prepare for that. So instead of having a variable percentage, you either can stick with in between like 2 to 3% that you know it's gonna happen every single year. That is one option. So we'll see what happens with that, but yeah, financial study, Dr. Byers will be here March 12th. He'll be going over that study and to the board, and more to follow with that. Yeah.
one other thing,
Yes, sir?
have you been into the hangars lately?
Yes, I have. I go to the hangars.
Did you ever look at the doors?
Which hang?
Any doors, I mean, well, especially ones.
The pedestrian door or the hangar door?
The hangar door. The reason
Sure.
I'm saying that, most of them are rusting at the wells, and without any maintenance, that you're gonna be into them.
Yes, yeah, and that was brought up by the AEB when I first got up here. I can't remember the gentleman's name, but what about a maintenance schedule? I hear you.
Okay.
I'm all about, maintenance mentality's right here, I got it. But I can't do everything. Right now, I'm being asked to be in 3 places at once. So that's really tough for me. And the county doesn't have representative at any of the airports on a daily basis. It would be me. If I was to do that, then grants and other projects would just go to the wayside.
I understand.
And
I'm just pointing it out.
but I know the doors, I know there's some issues, I know some of the locking mechanisms don't line up, especially ones over here.
Yeah.
That's been on my radar to get that fixed, so if a hurricane comes here, you can secure your door. But yeah, I've told you this before, it's not falling on deaf ears.
Okay. That's why I haven't said anything about the pay, as far as the paying the electric bill.
Yeah, it is something we're looking into, and we're trying to figure out, how we can go about doing that the right way. Yes, sir?
It's nice to have your mentality and your attitude in your position. Having worked with the board directly, it does seem like they are looking this as they're trying to turn it into the golden goose. What kind of opportunities can be revenue producing? How can we bring in the business jets? How can we do this? And it feels from like the board members, they are almost anti the little guy, the general aviation. What can we do to change that attitude?
That's a great question. Man, it's gonna be tough to answer, but I can tell you that,
But
the board,
you probably perceive the same thing, right? A little bit from the board?
I don't speak with them really directly as much as you think I do, but, so I can't speak for them.
Okay.
I think they're, doing a good job, and when it comes to
You have to say
aviation.
that, they're your employer.
Well, but from my experiences so far, I don't see anything that's making me run away,
Okay.
but, it's complicated. You have different districts and you got different, it can be political, but, so far, from what I've seen, especially for the airports, it is attention. They want, because they know that the more you build up an airport, that it's gonna bring in industry, it's gonna bring in jobs. It's a matter of fact. Look at the rest of them. It's just a part of our nature. So I think that's what we're trying to do, is build these airports up and bring that industry in. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, but
Oh,
what was?
no, what I was really asking is, the attitude of the board appears
Yeah.
to be more big business, revenue producing, and given a choice, and it's probably true at other airports as well, they'd like to squeeze out generally aviation, we're kind of a high maintenance, pain in the rear, and they'd rather have the business jets.
I don't know, I'm not getting that, I'm not
vibe.
getting that vibe from them. The business park. The business park is designed to be aeronautical and non-aeronautical sign. Now, if we bring in a big company, let's say Lockheed Martin, and they come in and they want a training available for the county and get work there, that'd be fantastic. But there's another side to this park as well. And there's a design of smaller plots of land that we can bring in smaller industry. It could be non-aviation to also support that, and they can run their business out of here as well. So to me, I think it's the best mix of both. You're able to get local in here, but we do need a larger company to come in here because that's going to bring industry and jobs for this county, which is desperately needed. So, well, you have a question.
So they built this in the hopes that somebody will come, or do they have a real plan to
Yes.
draw in aviation? I mean, is there a marketing plan? Is there a marketing? I mean, you can build it and say, boy, I hope they come, but are they going to?
Well,
Why? What is the attraction in Citrus County to draw a company that has, you know, an aviation, maybe a King Air that they're running their business with, and
Mhm. Okay. I can tell you I had a meeting with a company that provides a VTOL, vertical takeoff and landing. We showed them our business park and they were all over it. Now, that's just one example. I mean, they could fill up that whole business park. And they're even talking about, I saw a PowerPoint presentation of what the terminal could look like for this and all that. And I've entertained the idea because I'm also curious. It's already gonna happen with Tampa and Miami. It's a matter of if, or a matter of when, not a matter of if. So, I had that company come out here. Some of this information was before me, but those things are closely looked at. There's studies and, you know, that support if we build this business park, they will come. I just don't have a lot of that information in front of me, and it was before my time, but it will happen. As long as if we can get that up and running, and have that turnkey ready, people are gonna come.
so there is some impetus from
There is.
businesses to say, boy, we'd be in Citrus County if we had a place to go, and we had a
Yes.
place to run our airplanes back and forth. Was that how it was built, or it was just let's build it maybe?
No, it wasn't, this was not done haphazardly.
Okay.
This business park is, from what I remember, has been talked about since 2005.
Before that.
Yeah, it was
Even before
2002.
that?
Yeah, 2002 when they.
Was, I know that FDOT helped us out buying the land
Mhm.
years ago. So yes, I'm still trying to get more information on that. And even Crystal River Runway Extension been talked about since, I don't know how long, but I think 2011. Maybe I'm wrong, but something like that. So these things do happen, and there's a lot of thought and studies behind that as well. So I do believe that once we're done with this business park, we're gonna see some businesses come in there as well. I've had a few private clients call me up, headhunters looking for land. They wanna build a hangar for their 3 or 4 jets for some medical company. So, but I'm not an economic developer, so when it comes to some of those questions, I don't really know out of my expertise, but sorry I can't answer that better for you, but yes, sir.
I've seen the aerial views of
Mhm.
the future.
Yeah,
Has any thought been if the county would put up I'll say like the south hangars here,
yeah,
foot the bill for those, but for startup businesses? Cause the way technology is going in aviation right now, the avionics, fabrication, everything else, there are companies, startup companies, even if, you know, electric mag, so to speak, okay? Somebody wants, because I know there are businesses out there.
Yep.
And I think it'd be a great idea for, I'll say, strip mall, startup businesses.
Yeah.
That way, we can invite the guy that has an idea or that doesn't have a company, that's getting some grant money to establish a small business and some help. And if they have a place here in Florida, there's no question about it, Florida is pro aviation. If you lived in Connecticut, you'd see the difference, believe
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
because they don't want it at all. But that would give the smaller guy, so to speak, a place to get started.
Yeah,
Cause to build a building yourself, even say for us, just for a hangout,
Money.
it,
Yep.
I think it's frickin' dollars, it's a lot of money.
yep. Sure, I don't see any reason why the county wouldn't entertain that.
But I didn't happen to see that in the plan, but it's an idea.
Sure.
A startup business, strip. It doesn't have to be 20, 10.
No, yeah, absolutely. I don't see why not. First, we need to get that up and running. As soon as we get that up and running, then sure, all ideas, and we'll get a lot of phone calls, but sure, I don't see why that's not a possibility. Yeah. Why that wouldn't be. Yes, sir.
The county used to have an aviation advisory board.
We still
Does it still exist?
It does. Yep.
Are they contributing any to this planning and so forth?
As far as I know, yeah, and my dealings with them has been great, and they're
I was taken aback here not too long ago, driving south on 41 past the Catholic Church.
Mhm.
And about 15 years ago, I was a member of the Aviation Advisory Board. And there was quite a commotion about extending the tower for cell phones on the Catholic property another 20 feet because of the land development code.
okay.
And the other day, I'm driving down the road, and that 20 feet was added through a lot of political Mickey Mouse. And Seco Tower is there, and my God, they're putting up a tower that is higher than those two, closer to the airport here. I'm wondering how this happens.
Okay, that's a great question. I'm gonna look into that. Yeah, because I'm betting that's on Inverness, City of Inverness property. And just making sure that, I'm sure what Seco's doing is, the city's involved, hopefully they are. Or wherever this tower, whatever property the tower's gonna be on, but,
The city was involved.
yeah. All right, yeah, I'll look into it, see what I can find. But yeah, we do have an AAB. They've been fantastic, and I keep them monthly, keep them up to date on projects. It's getting better. I want to provide more pictures or better statuses of projects. And these things are going to come. It's just taking a little bit longer since Army of One, so, but more to follow. Yes, sir.
I'm not familiar with what you're talking about, but my other question would be, is the FAA involved with this tower?
I'm sorry.
Is the FAA involved?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, because
Yeah,
I was an
yeah.
airport manager in my past life. and
Okay.
Somebody was trying to put up a cell phone tower, and the FAA said no.
Yeah.
There's a glide ratio to the airport, and the county, in my case, goes, oh, the FAA doesn't control anything. Oh, yeah, they do. You know, if it interferes with navigation at the airport,
Yeah,
the FAA can shut it down.
Yeah, they're recently out here flight checking.
Yeah. But again, if they don't know the tower,
Oh, yeah,
you know, because in one case I know of, they built the tower, and the FAA said, you know, you got 2 months to get it removed.
Yep.
Obstruction clearance plane.
Yep, that's exactly it.
Yep.
And especially if there's instrument approaches involved, they don't like that at all.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I'll look into that. Yes, sir.
Hey, so, what can we do as a EAA chapter to help the counties, and obviously to keep some of the focus on the general aviation? Because myself, I run a hangar, there's several others in the room that run hangars, we live here, this is kind of our home, like, I see myself renting a hangar for the next 10, 20 years, right? Having planes
Sure.
here, so I wanna keep it friendly to general aviation
Yeah.
to some degree, so what can we do now that can help that?
That's a great question. Safe flying. First off, safe flying. There, can't go into too much, but I'm glad that there's certain people that are around this area that are being pushed out for unsafe flying. And other unsafe activities. So, that's taken a long effort in cooperation. So, right now, that's about, is spread the word. Get younger kids involved, and I think that's, get them out there, just a second, get them out there for aviation, show them what's done. It helped me out when I was a little kid, it kind of, sparked an interest. Ever since I got in, the old timers that were getting out and retiring, or people I talked to, they used to call it a silver tsunami. It's coming. Aviation is, we need pilots and we need mechanics. We need them fast. They were telling me that 20 years ago. So I think people knew, and now we're starting to see it, and we're even starting to see more advertisement for, I think Delta had advertisement for being a pilot, and it was fantastic. And I'm hoping that interest will, so what I mean is that interest is gonna slowly support these areas, get more interest with kids out here, start them young, and say, hey, this is really, not only could be a hobby, it could be a career, a fulfilling career. I think that'll help in the long run. The short time, it keeps safe flying going. If you happen to see anything that's unsafe, or you see something that you want to bring up, bring it to my attention. That's the quick communication right there. Email me, call me, send a pigeon, whatever you want to do, and we'll take care of that. But more to follow. Definitely more to follow on that, on things we can do to bolster this community.
And does the county kind of understands too that we, some of us being tenants here, right, us being tenants, we support EAA, so it's important hopefully that they realize we want to stay here too to help support that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I know there was talk earlier about the counties, looking at big businesses versus the small guys, and I just want them to make sure they understand too that some of us need to be here to be this support of operations for these programs.
Well, let me answer your question with a question. Yeah. Is there fear that these airports are gonna get so large, it's gonna turn into a regional airport or an international airport? Does anybody have fear like this is gonna get so out of hand where you're gonna kind of ignore GA airports or the little guy flying? Is there anyone have any fears? You do?
I do.
I don't see that happening.
I do, yeah.
There'd have to be a large amount of land. Homes would have to be removed. I mean, you'd have to extend this runway thousands of more feet, prior airport manager, for that to get any type of attention on that large of a scale. I just don't see, I don't see that happening.
It's the pricing though, Todd. If they continue to raise the insurance requirements and the cost of doing business and everything, it's gonna price the little guys out.
I must say, I agree with that insurance stuff, because not that it's a bad thing, but anybody can just wander in here, it seems like sometimes, and we have to have insurance. My nose is bleeding for it's so expensive, because I have to have so high, it's so expensive. I'm like, but there's a lot of other people that kind of slip in, and they could do a lot of damage, and I get it, but it's just like I said, the insurances is.
And that's across the board, right? Auto insurance, home insurance, you name it.
Yeah, but
insurance for Florida.
Oh.
It is, and well,
we have 3 times the requirement of the other FBOs in terms of insurance, in terms of minimum dollar amount of the airports and all the surrounding airports. So it's not the price of the insurance, it's the minimum amount of coverage is 3 times higher than the other airports that are of similar size.
Okay.
So,
I think some of this, I'll look into it. I'll at least ask the question to the right person, but sounds to me that some of this it might be out of our hands. This might be something that's,
No, I mean,
for insurance requirements, I
gotta have my car insurance.
sure.
I have to have $1 million coverage on my car in order to get in the airport. You know that? It's by your risk assessment that I have
Sure,
to have.
yes.
Have $1 million. No other airport that I have been to, Ellen does now, where you got to pay an insurance on your car, and then you got to pay an outside company to come in and verify your insurance every, and I get these ridiculous phone calls every other month because my insurance is not all on one car or something like that. My car, I get this month, and this month, because I got 3 cars. It's ridiculous what we're doing.
Okay,
And-
so what, it's Barry, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
Barry.
Barry, can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Any of these questions that come up,
Okay.
email me,
All right.
please. It's the best way. This list, give me a list, let me run to it, run with it, and let me see what I can come up with. The last thing I wanna do is scare away, our long-term tenants or anyone from our airports. So,
Well, to be frank, I mean, we're really your only income right now. You're not gonna see any income from there for, you said 2026 to get that taxiway? So you're not gonna have any buildings, if the county thinks about it that way, it's like if they force the little guys out in the meantime, then they'll never have empty hangars because people will drive further and further from further south with their,
yeah.
it's. But
More hangars are gonna come.
People,
They're
it's really not being very, fair, or, that have been here, been putting in the time, been paying the rent, been supporting aviation. So they really need to listen a little more, I think.
I think they're definitely listening, and, but getting them more information is 100% needed. And, that's what I'm here for, one of my jobs. Yes?
Yeah, to shift back a couple of comments
Sure.
ago about things that can do to promote aviation and general aviation here and now. Last EAA meeting, we were talking about the youth program, and there were things that we were deficient in before we could even be eligible for some of the grants of that program. Is there any way that the EU could help us in that department get some of those things lined up so that the EAA would be eligible for some of those youth programs and
Okay.
get that drive to here?
Okay, I think that's a fantastic idea, and I'd love to look into that.
So
I don't see why
kind
not.
of bring up, so one of the challenges we have here is
Yeah.
some of the other airports that have EAA chapters, they've had like an old hangar to donate them to, and that gets them started. We don't have that here. So it's a big challenge for us, because if we wanna do a youth program and get a build, like, Retail is doing a build, their high schools, they're building an airplane, and high school students come in, and it's a great intro to aviation. And we can't do that yet, because we don't have a hangar space to do that. And I'm trying to find ways to do this, and this is part of why I wanna build a hangar and then have a section that EA can start that getting go, so we can start getting, because it's one of these, it's that catch-22, you can't build an airplane till you have a hangar, but you can't get a hangar till you have an air,
Yeah.
And we, getting started is always the challenge.
Okay.
And, that's part of it too, this is why I wanna get the youth programs going, is there's people still here that have no idea this airport even exists.
Well,
General community wise, and if they can come out here and see that this airport is something they can use as well, and, participate in these programs, then it won't look as, oh, that's the aviation, I don't fly, it's not relevant to me. They can see it, oh, this is part of the community, just like our parks and everything else. And
Yeah.
it takes time to do, but I know it's something that can be done to get more people understanding how aviation can be beneficial for the whole community.
Yeah, and it will come.
Yeah.
Things take longer than I want them to.
I know how that goes.
But, yes, sir.
And Todd, you are probably aware, I'm one of the people in the room, there's multiple in the room, have been pursuing hangars here. I'm working on 3 years now that I've had an application.
I understand.
And it keeps getting kicked down the road, and then the terms start to change that are less and less favorable to the individual. Matter of fact, the last revision wasn't accepted yet. You know, took out any protection for the person who was willing to invest in a hangar. You know, they could cancel that lease with no cost, with no reason. And and I was advised by legal counsel, like, don't enter that agreement with that terminology in there. You're setting yourself up, you know, you build it, you put in 200 grand, whatever, you build a nice hangar, and they can just take it away. And that's the way the contract was being rewritten. And that's unacceptable. It's just not, it's not fair.
Yes,
To his point, and a lot of other points here, I moved to this area 4 years ago.
okay,
Okay, been in airplane buying and selling business a long time. At any given point, I have 2 to 4 airplanes. I wanted to be here, but because of your terms, like you were talking about, I went to Marion County.
okay.
And I got 2 to 4 airplanes at all times.
Yeah.
And I just can't live with what you guys are requiring here.
Okay.
I love the people here, love the airport, but no.
And
Well,
Marion County is aggressively pursuing people like us to come out there, hangar their planes, build hangars, invest in that property. Problem is, it's an hour away. So,
Yep.
but at some point, you have to
Yep.
cut bait here and just say, citrus isn't gonna work.
Well, times are changing.
And I'm really
And-
glad to hear that.
It is, and I think that through the whispers and the comments that I'm hearing about the lease, county has their own issues with their lease too. We've been stuck in precarious situations as well. So I think that's where I'm talking about being reasonable and a compromise, and how can we give you, you know, incentives and benefits to coming here and building a hangar, but how can also the county benefit? It's finding that middle ground so we can shake hands. That's,
Agreed.
it's being looked at.
One positive I've seen
It is.
in the past year that's started is you know, people who rent hangars that already probably know it used to be whatever the problem with hangar is your problem, you fix it. And now it's getting away from that, where like, you know, talk about the hurricane, you know, the pins that go in there, and mine didn't fit at all, and I think I emailed you on it, and it got taken care of pretty quickly. So that was, that's a good step in the right direction, is that it just takes time to go.
It does. And I think that the other we're in a transition, and I think, even though this is before me, but these airports and, you know, how great they were, but they were sleepy, right?
Yes, oh yeah.
Okay, well, things are changing. We're all seeing that. And I think it's towards a positive. And I'm planning for that.
If I may, Mike, you know, you may or may not be aware, but we're attempting to build a 20,000 square foot hangar, but we haven't made any progress with the county either.
Well, because if I were you, with those terms, I wouldn't do it.
No, we can't. It doesn't make sense. You're just throwing money and giving it to the county and not getting any return on your investment.
Exactly.
Well,
You're not even guaranteed that you're gonna be able to keep it.
Yeah, that was, when Mike originally brought up to me building a hangar here, I told him, no way. But now I'm more thinking that, you know, cause I wanna do things with EA, but that was actually my attitude a year ago, was there's not a chance, because I'm not donating a hangar to the county. And,
Okay.
you know, if I'm gonna invest in this community, I wanna get, you know, something out of it as well. And that's the big thing, is if the terms keep getting worse and worse, then all of us are just not gonna build here. And then that means no new hangars.
How many people wanna build? Raise a hand.
Yeah.
I mean, I've probably got a list of 5 more that wanna come to this area, and they've been working to me, and I'm saying, you gotta hold off. You have to hold off right now. We could probably fill up that next row, we're talking about
Yeah.
row of 50 by 50s, we could probably fill it up with the people that I'm in contact with. But everybody's very leery of the terms at this point.
Well, we're also, these are all great questions you're bringing up. And one thing that we're doing next is, we are doing I'm submitting an application, a pre-app with FAA for a master plan. And I want that to happen ASAP. So it's due anyway, you know, it's been about 10 years since we've done one for this airport, and I think that's gonna help out a lot. And part of that master plan is a public outreach. There's gonna be a portion where, you know, we're gonna be able to hear how the public feel, and that, amongst other things, the redesigning, or not redesigning, but where our future hangars gonna be, where are they gonna be located? That's gonna be planned out as well. There's a designed for a fire station at the north side. That's gonna help with everyone's favorite word, insurance. So I see these things coming, I see these positives coming for this airport, even Crystal River. It's, bear with me, it's just, it's the time. It's a trudge.
Look at the age of the group here.
Read the room, Todd, read the room.
I absolutely hear you, the master plan, they do those every 10 years.
Yep.
I think this one was officially coming up in 2025.
Yep.
You know what I hear though? Let's wait till after the master plan before we decide anything.
Yeah.
That's what they've done every year. Let's wait.
I hear you.
And that's just the mode of the board. It's like, let's kick the can down the road.
Well, or do we go and shoot hip fire, and then we're in a situation that we've been in over and over again?
I know.
So it's, which one do you take? It's a positive, negative, I guess. If we did something really quick, maybe that could benefit you, maybe the lease wasn't that great, or whatever it was, and we're in a similar situation. But we
But
got
it
that
starts
one thing you really
generating
wanted.
revenue for the county.
Sure.
Which is, they've missed the opportunity on 3 years of rental and lease revenue. So, is that a smart move on their part? There's unused land.
Are you saying that because if there's no, we're not building hangars right now,
Not
focusing
building,
more on a business park?
Yes.
Okay, well, there's a positive for the county over here. We're not ignoring hangars. We still have, I think next fiscal year should be lined up for some money for a row of T hangars. Crystal River, I believe, their third row.
As far as that goes, Todd,
Yeah.
are you having problems getting financing to build these hangars? Is that the problem? Because if you built 100 of them, they'd be probably leased before you ever got them built.
What happened at Marion County?
Funding, not that I know of, but again, that's a different department. But I don't think so.
It has to be lack of desire on their part. Because the
No, I
demand.
don't say that, I don't think that either. It's, a lot of it's planning. And right now, I'm going through a budget phase with the county, which I've never done with the county before. And it's trying to set up, whether it's, my CIP for the next 5 years or the incidentals for the year. And part of that is trying to plan, is this project, what's the priority? Hangars are a priority, I promise you, they are. They're gonna come. It's just, we don't have, how many millions of dollars is that? I can only get so many grants, but we still have to match that. And hangar grants right now, they used to be 80/20s, they're 50/50s with FDOT. So if a hangar costs $3 million, the one that's coming up here next, we still have to match, 150,000.
3 million for how many units are in it?
This is one large
Oh, just one
12,000 square foot
hangar,
hangar.
okay, yeah.
And on top of that, because the prices are going up so much, let me bunny trail. The fuel tank project at Crystal River is needed so bad. Those fuel tanks are in horrible shape. And we're gonna be replacing that whole system. That started out as, don't quote me on this, but around $800,000, something like that. It's almost $2 million. That's how much it's gone up. So we had to go through the grant process to get an amendment. We had to find more money. FDOT agreed to it, luckily, and we're moving forward on getting these fuel tanks. So, yes, sir. So, sorry.
On your funding project, I set this up one time,
Uh-huh.
dealing with matching funds.
Yeah.
County didn't have the money to match the funds. So I said, okay, we'll take the government funds, and you're gonna give me $100,000 up front. And they funded my 50%. I sold the hangars, and you got to use the hangar for the next 15 years. And at the end of 15 years, the county had to
Yes.
but for the next 50, and people were willing to do that because it was cheaper than building their own hangar.
What about the bond issue? If it pays a decent return, people will buy the bonds.
I don't know the stance on bonds, and again, it's out of my, but can ask the question for sure.
Uh-huh.
These are great. Anything I can do to help out this community, trust me, I want that. Yes, sir.
Look at our chapter here,
Yeah.
how Barry has planned for the future here also. And what strikes what opens the community's eyes is safety
Yep,
and education.
yep.
Is there any grant money, or could you look into it or whatever, for to put up a hangar for educational purposes for the community?
Fantastic question. If you don't already know, Brooksville's doing that already. They're building a technical school and an aviation, A&P school's gonna be there as well.
I was even gonna mention about, high school satellite.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. Absolutely. I think that's a need, we need more of that. We need more of, we can't just, find the brightest and the best, right away. Sometimes you have to train those people to become that. And that mentality, which worked years ago, it's not happening because those people are retiring. So to get that education out, start them young, and I think that'll grow our population. So to me, having education, an educational site, whether it's a training facility, a school for A&P, piloting, all of that it's a great idea. Yep.
Along with that,
Yes, sir.
a lot of communities, airports, have set aside places for nonprofits as far as providing a piece of ground if they wanted to build their own hangars, such as EAA, Civil Air Patrol hangars. I know that an airport I was familiar with down in Naples, they did that for the CAP and that was great, but they also had a Girl Scout camp on one side of the airport. They had to kick them off because of the matching funds and all this. They had to charge X dollars per square foot for every piece of ground on the airport property. And so they couldn't justify their camp anymore. And so do we have that situation here where because of the funds you are taking, you have to get fair market value for each little piece of property?
I'd have to look into that. It's interesting. I'm unsure. I will look into that. Yes, sir.
I should have followed up one more thing on what you just mentioned, as far as grant. Is that something we as a chapter should apply for, or would it be better if something that we apply to the county for, and that the county, usually a county has more throw, than an organization with federal grant money?
In relation to education,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for a facility for education.
I think it coming from here probably would be the best bet. But, well, getting more information and keeping involved, open line of communication is gonna help with that tremendously.
If I may,
Yes,
Don.
sir.
So, about 4 years ago, I wrote 2 grants to start the process for 147 A&P school in conjunction with the county and with the Cucci Technical College. At the time, this was before Todd's time, the county had no one in charge of economic development, no grant writers, and no one to write the grants. So I wrote the grants on behalf of the county. The Board of County Commissioners approved the grants. Those grants went to what was then Florida Department of Economic Opportunity, which is now Florida Department of Commerce. Those grants have been sitting with the Florida Department of Commerce for a number of years. And I have personally traveled to Tallahassee at least 8 times in support of those grants, and also personally funded lobbyists to move the legislature to approve those grants, yet nothing has become of that. I think it's honestly a lack of interest at the Board of County Commissioners level to pursue that, because it's challenging for me as a business owner. We can't expand because we don't have workforce. The demographics of this county don't work out that there's young individuals wanting to enter the workforce. And on top of that, the individuals that do live here are not trained for aerospace, high-end and high-tech jobs like electric aviation and carbon fiber manufacturing. So whatever industry enters or has the potential to enter the business park, they're gonna need workforce. That's the #1 challenge. And number two challenge is housing. There's no housing in this area.
It's sky high right now.
So there's two challenges. Even if the business park is perfect, no one can move here, no industry can be there without the workforce. But the county has not prioritized the development of that 147 AMP school, or they're kind of are developing housing now a little bit. But we need the training of new technicians to be able to, if it wants to be an aerospace. And not everything needs to be a 147 AMP school, but there has to be trades, taught so that there's workforce here. Because right now, I could hire 6 people right now for CFIs and AMP technicians. I can't find anyone willing to work. And that's gonna be a challenge for whatever business enters there, more so than whatever land is available and whatever looks nice. There has to be workforce or else you can't have industry. But if you were to go to the Board of County Commissioners and support the grants and let them know that those grants, the school will be run by Withlacoochee Technical College. Technical expertise would be provided by Wright Rudder Aviation. But there's 2 grants, $5 million each, with the Department of Commerce that need to be approved. And the governor wants to approve them, but they're lacking the community support and the votes pretty much to get behind it right now. And that would be something that benefits the community. Wright Rudder gets, zero from it other than a workforce that we can employ, people 6 years down the line when the school comes to fruition, if it ever does. But we've written more than 10 grants on behalf of the county. EAA can absolutely go after more grants. There's so many grants that could apply, that the county could apply for if they had the manpower, but it is a lot of work to write grants, I can tell you that, with the research you have to do. The other grants we've applied for are clean energy grants, because we have a lot of land here at the airport that could be used to house solar. And if we could be a leader in, green electric aviation in the state, that would in turn attract more businesses to the business park. That's a grant I wrote that was part of the BIL funds that the administration put out, or the Inflation Reduction Act as well. But those grants also have not been pursued by the county, unfortunately. So there's money being left on the table, but it is because there's not enough staff at the county. In fairness to the county, there's not enough staff.
Well, I can tell you with the projects going on, bill grants those are your entitlements through FAA, and those are the first things that are gonna get spent. And those are already locked in with a lot of the projects that I have coming in the future. Yes, sir.
I'm from Las Vegas originally, and spent 22 years there. And at the North Las Vegas airport, we wanted to build some hangars, and the county commissioners were opposed to it. So what I did is I started an email campaign with the tenants, with the stakeholders at the airport, and put together, what they should write to the county commissioners to encourage them to support this. And the county commissioners politically want to be reelected for life. And they found that after we had gotten, I think they got about 300 letters from the stakeholders and other people around the airport, they approved it. We built 65 hangars.
Okay.
Just a thought. Because it seems the stumbling block here is the county commissioners. So the way to change their mind is to convince them that the electorate wants them to vote your way. And we did that. And it was almost 100%. I think it was 7-0 in favor of it.
Well, I think the first step is getting better communications to the board. That's something that I definitely want to do, to get more in their ear and to give them more information to make those critical decisions. So that's what I'm going to work towards, and hopefully a solution. Yes?
When I went and started complaining about the doors and stuff, the first question the Board of Commissioners asked me was, take it to the aircraft, what is it?
Aviation advisory.
Aviation Advisory Board.
And what did you do?
And I had already taken it to them.
Oh, okay, well then, I know you went there once, okay.
Yeah, I went there first because I wanted to make sure I had the chain of command, you know, so they wouldn't have an excuse
Sure.
to complain. But one thing about it, it took me a while to find out when the aviation board was, and that's one of the things I told them was, there's no real number for the aviation board. And at that time, I didn't wanna talk to Quincy, so,
Oh, a phone number?
yeah.
Okay, if you go on BOCC's website, there's an area now for, or there has been, but, it needs to get, actually needs to get updated again.
It's outdated right now.
Yeah, it's
So
no
Matt
longer,
Quincy on there, and it still has, I think like 2022 dates for board meetings.
okay, I'd have to, this is different than what I've seen, so.
Okay, well, maybe it's split around, but the part I was looking at recently, it still has Quincy as the contact, and it still has 2022 dates.
Oh, no, okay.
So we might have it split somewhere then.
But,
I'll send you the link.
Yeah, I'd like to look at that, cause I wonder if that's the same website that I'm looking at, cause right now it is a little out of date, cause I'm no longer under economic development, it's, back to public works. So that needs to be updated as well.
the point I was trying to make
Yes,
is
sir.
that all of us have issues or want something done. We need to start at the basic and go to a couple of those meetings.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
bring, and,
Yes.
yeah, and bring our concerns of what we could do better and give it a month or two, then go to the board meeting, so they won't have to say, go to the aviation board, you know? So, we all have good suggestions of what we need to do here. This is our place. And, the only way you can do it is start from the basic, and that's when is the aviation board?
Fantastic question. Second Thursday of every month at 2 PM at the LGB Lecanto Government Building. Hope to see you there.
Good.
Yeah, let's keep the communication alive. I think that's the best thing, to get that to the board, and then, it's the best way to get your voice heard. Yes, sir.
Well, you or maybe Andy, Holly's the only one that has an aviation background, but is she even current? I mean, but the rest of the board does not even, as far as I know, have any aviation background. Is Holly still, is she active yet, or is she a current pilot, have a current medical, and?
I'm unsure. I haven't had the pleasure of talking to her about those things. I've only ran across her a few times. But yeah, I think it's a great ally to have for aviation. She grew up in this environment. So
I know she grew up, but that's.
Yeah, but
She grew up, but,
okay,
I don't
well,
think
I'm not a pilot either. Does that
No,
make me?
the first thing when I started mentioning the cost, price index, she says to me, and it kind of ticked me off, is that it's supply and demand.
Okay.
Most money we can get for it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
And that's the impression I got when I went to her, is that before, when I went to the aviation board, they talked about, this is Crystal River, a small community. We need to grow in the community and then go out. But supply and demand, people down in town got more money than I do. And they will rent this with that road there. Coming through here, only takes a half an hour to get from town to here. These hangars are going to them. And it's nothing there.
Who's getting to Tampa in a half an hour?
I-
I'll leave it at that. I'll leave it at that.
70 miles an hour is just a suggestion.
Like Rick was talking about when he's flying.
But,
well, I think, again, I think getting the communication stronger, going to the AAB meetings and standing up and, if you wanna voice your concern or opinion, that's the best place to do it. Contact me.
Yeah.
So, remember, I think before me, but these places were, sleepy.
Oh, yeah.
The times are changing.
Yeah.
So, and I'm striving for the positive. Does anybody have anything for me or anything else?
Do you know if the rotating beacon was fixed? I saw them working on it.
I got, then maybe so.
Yesterday they were working on it, but
I didn't, he
they
told
were
me he
working on
wasn't gonna be
it.
able to get out there, so,
Okay.
said it was a slim chance. Looks like,
Well, they were working on it.
I'll find out Monday, hopefully.
Hey, while it may not sound like it, we're glad you came.
I'm glad I could make it. Yeah, it was, yeah, and I plan to come more often, and, but if you wanna see my face, on a monthly basis, please go to, the AAB, second Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. Highly recommend it. Everything's getting better.